Okay, welcome everyone. And if you're new to my channel, why don't you hit that subscribe button and give me a chance because I'm sure if you like this, you're going to like my channel. Alrighty, so we're going back to Gene Kim. Wow, what can I say? Just because a guy has a PhD doesn't make him smart. Anyway, and he's got a legitimate PhD, believe it or not. Don't know what in. Hey, Lisa. Um, but he does have a legitimate PhD from a legitimate university. I don't want to say because I don't want to give out misinformation, even if I don't mean to give out misinformation. But it is a legitimate PhD from a legitimate university. Like I said, that does not make him smart. Okay, just wanted to put that out there. You got plenty of people who graduate legitimate universities with legitimate degrees, like Georgia Purdom, but that does not make them smart. All right, moving on. So let me share my screen. And yes, I did change the time. It's getting dark earlier here. So I don't really have the money to turn on the light when it gets dark. So about 2 o'clock, I know this is 1:45, but I've got a delivery coming at 3 or a little before 3. So anyway, so this isn't going to be that long, just so you know. Because, I mean, really, I can't stand Gene. It just, he's better than a lot of other people. I will give him that credit where credit's due. He's better than a lot of people, but I still can't stand him. Gene, if you're ever listening to this, buddy, you got to get out of the cult mentality. That's all I got to say. All righty. And yeah, this is not clickbait. He actually thinks time travel's in the Bible. All right. Let's go.
Who is he speaking to? And then you got to watch out. That may not apply to the same time period as you. That's why when people see a rapture in the Bible, and they see it at the end of the tribulation, they assume the church will be raptured after the tribulation. But who is he speaking to? Matthew 24, the Jews. But then the church talks about their rapture. They have a separate rapture. Here's another example. God talks about day of Christ, day of...
I love this guy. I'm sorry, I do. Even though I can't stand him for long periods of time, I love this guy. Oh, God. You gotta love when they step all over their own arguments. Hey, Selena. You gotta love it when they step all over their own arguments. Well, he's talking to the Jews, but he's also talking to the Christians. Okay, which is it, guy? Make up your mind. You know? I mean, come on. Jesus fucking Christ. All right, let's go on. Hey, Snuffy. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
day of the Lord. When you look at that, a lot of people combine the two, but no, they're different. You'll notice day of Christ is more of Paul's language. And who is he a writer to? The church. And then when the Bible talks a lot about day of the Lord in the Old Testament, for example, those are for Jews. Now, this will be very eye-opening in your Bible study. If you understand that, this is called time perception. If you want to know what time period you're at or how the Bible's operating, you need to see the group of people. If you just look at time period, then you're going to wrongly divide stuff. It's not just the time period, it's also the group of people. Now, how do I know that? Well, how do you not know that it's the same thing? Well, one, he's talking to different groups of people. One, the addressee. But the second thing is, notice that it doesn't work with last days of the Jews and with the last days of the church. For example,
I cannot wait for him to try to, shore up this point. Who knows? Maybe he won't. Hey, Archbishop, how's it going? Oh, that's Lady Selena on another. Wait a minute. Okay, no, sorry. I was on the wrong line. Hey, Archbishop, how's it going? Are you really an Archbishop? Just wondering. Okay, so anyway, I really wonder if he really believes his own shit, because, come on. Okay, so apparently this dude believes in 2 raptures, even though even 1 rapture is not in the Bible. I don't know how they get to 1 rapture in the Bible. And now this dude's saying there's 2 raptures taught in the Bible. I don't know. Maybe he's maybe he's one of these. Maybe he'll tell us, maybe not. But, just in case he doesn't, I'm going to tell you what I think. And then if he tells us, then I'll address it. But what I think he's going on about is he thinks, and this is just my interpretation thus far, if he tells us, then I'll address it then. But my interpretation right now is that he thinks the 144,000 who are Jews, even according to the Bible, the 144,000 are Jews. Okay? So if I understand him correctly, he's saying that there's going to be a rapture of the 144,000 Jews. And then there's going to be a separate rapture of the church. Hey, Uncle Jesus. So, that's what I think. Let's see if he explains.
Compare the Jews with Job 14 and Luke 21. Job 14 and Luke 21. Now, this is a favorite passage used by post-tribbers or people who attack the pre-tribulation rapture. They love Job 14, and I have to admit, it's my favorite passage too, to support pre-trib rapture. You know what's really funny that I find with these post-tribbers? A lot of the verses they use as proof text, and my members know this, a lot of times I'll point them in the same chapter or even in the same verse that is supported a pre-trib argument or a dispensational argument. They just don't read. They just don't read, okay?
Okay, for those who believe in the rapture, which is a small percent of Protestants, even among Protestants, this isn't prevalent. But among the Protestants who believe in the rapture, there's pre-tribulation rapture, mid-tribulation rapture, post-tribulation rapture. So the pre-tribulation rapture states that Jesus is going to come take his bride, the church, before the rapture starts, so they don't have to go through the tribulation. Okay? I don't have to tell you, this is nowhere in the Bible. The mid-trib crowd says the church is going to be raptured 3.5 years into the tribulation. So in the Christian world, there's a difference between the tribulation and the Great Tribulation. And the tribulation is the first 3.5 years, and the Great Tribulation is the second 3.5 years to make 7 years. So the mid-tribs say that, yeah, I know, Uncle Jesus. So the mid-tribs say that the church will be raptured after the 3.5 years. So the church is going to go through the tribulation, but they're not going to go through the Great Tribulation. So that's what mid-tribs say. And then the post-tribs say, no, the church is going to go throughout the tribulation. And yeah, right. And I agree with you, Uncle Jesus. I mean, if the rapture idea is true, why do you have pre-tribs, mid-tribs, and post-tribs, right? And also, why do you have this silly idea? And I think it's just him, because I've never heard this before. I think it's just him saying there's going to be 2 raptures, one of the Jews and one of the church. I think that's what he's saying. Like I said, I think that's what he's saying, but hopefully we'll find out. All right, let's go on.
All right, look at Job 14. Look at Job 14. Favorite passage for post-tribbers. They will mention that you cannot rapture until you go past the tribulation, they'll say. So look at Job 14. Verse 12, so man lieth down and riseth not till the heavens be no more. They shall not awake nor be raised out of their sleep. So you don't resurrect until the heavens be no more. So that's definitely after the tribulation or the tribulation timeline. So then they have a rapture or a resurrection sometime during the tribulation. Okay, but look at this part. This is the wild part. See, I told you. No. Verse 13, oh, that thou wouldest hide me in the grave, that thou wouldest keep me secret until when? Thy wrath be past, that thou wouldest appoint me a set time and remember me. Okay, so he doesn't resurrect until the wrath is past. Okay, so then the Jews have to.
This is so funny. This is so fucking goddamn funny. I can't even laugh. I mean, I'm just stunned. Like, dude, you cannot see the problem with using the same goddamn verse between the pre-tribs and the post-tribs to prove opposite things. You don't see that as weird in any way. That's now we know where his mind is. Now we know where his mind is. He cannot fathom the idea that somebody disagrees with him. I could go on a political spiel right now, but politics ain't my thing. So, oh, by the way, to the Brits, please know that I am sending you my condolences over the death of your monarch. The Queen is dead. Long live the King. All right, moving on.
to go through the wrath then, and that is an appointed time. You notice that God set up a time period. Now, some of you who already know the Bible already know my answer, but I'll just keep talking. Okay. So he appointed a time that the Jews are going to go through the wrath, and then they get raptured or resurrected. Now, here's another one. Look at Luke 21. There's no doubt about it. They're going through wrath. Look at Luke 21. Luke 21. And then verse 21. Post-tribbers, and a lot of people know that this is talking about a tribulation reference. So this passage is about the tribulation. Look at verse 21. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto. So that's the tribulation. But they didn't read verse 22. For these be the days of what? Vengeance. Look at verse 23. But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days, for there shall be great distress in the land, and what? Wrath upon this people. So that tribulation passage, they didn't pay attention. That's a time period of wrath that God appointed. Okay, why is that important? Because you're not appointed for wrath. Look at 1 Thessalonians 5.
You see, this is what all Christians do. All Christians do. Thank you, Uncle Jesus. Thank you very much. You might enjoy my other videos too. I've been doing debunks on Christianity, particularly the young earthers. And I have a sarcastic sense of humor. Sorry, I got it from my dad. And may he rest in peace. And, so if you like that kind of sense of humor, the sarcasm and all that, you might want to go see my White UC debunks. I've gotten a lot better at it than I was. So, well, she definitely held the kingdom together, Snuffy. I'm an American, but, she reigned for 70 years. So, she definitely held the kingdom together. Okay. So let's go on with this loony bin.
Your appointment is not wrath. Can I repeat that again? Your appointment is not wrath. Look at 1 Thessalonians 5. And God literally worded, yes, appointed, okay? Just like Job, that my appointment is past the wrath. But then right here, the church, they're not appointed for wrath. So see, there's a different appointment that we're undergoing. See that? Look at 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 9. For God hath not appointed us to what? Wrath. Oh, by the way, this is the favorite passage of post-tribbers who are anti-Semites, 1 Thessalonians 2. But they should have paid attention. That verse would prove Jews are appointed for the wrath. Look at 1 Thessalonians 2, same passage. They weren't paying attention. 1 Thessalonians 2, verse 15. Who both killed the Lord Jesus and their own prophets and have persecuted us, and they please not God and are contrary to all men. See, those are...
I have a show, I think, I can't remember exactly what it's called, and I can't even remember whether it was a live stream, but it's about why I think the New Testament is pro-Roman. And this is one reason I think the New Testament is pro-Roman, because even though it was Pilate who supposedly sent Jesus to his death, okay? They blame the Jews because in the New Testament, it says the Jews pressured Pilate to put Jesus to death. Pilate was a cruel son of a bitch. Okay? He was a cruel son of a bitch. He did not need any excuse to put anyone to death. Okay? All right, let's go on.
Jews, so let's be anti-Semitic. Look at verse 16. Forbidding us to speak to the Gentiles that they might be saved, to fill up their sins always, for the what? Wrath is come upon them to the uttermost. Oh, they didn't read. They didn't read. Now notice right here, that's why we know for a fact the last days for Jews is different from how God's going to give last days to the church. It's like when God talks about forever for the church, for saved people, it's going to be different from the forever for lost people. It's the same thing you have to understand.
Yeah, that was a bunch of blah, blah, blah. Am I the only one who just heard blah, 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 or did other people hear that too? That's why I sped him up, Selena. That and to give him less money. But anyway, but yeah, did anyone just hear blah, 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 or is it just me? All right, let's go on. Oh, you know what? If I wouldn't get a copyright strike for this, I would go online and find Peanuts, you know, where the teacher's talking, right? And they go, wah, 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 wah. All right, let's go on.
Understand. If you understand this, it will be incredibly eye-opening and helpful. We're going to look at 2 Corinthians 5 and Romans 2, 2 Corinthians chapter 5, and then we're going to look at Romans 2. Now, the question in people's mind, and this always bothered me, is if
And I want you to understand, and I probably point this out every chance I get because it drives me friggin' nuts. Okay, this guy's using eisegesis. Okay, this guy's using eisegesis, which means he's going. Okay, even in Paul's letters, okay, and that's important. A letter. When you read Paul, okay, you are reading somebody else's mail. That is a felony in the United States. And somehow these people don't see a problem with it. At any rate, moving on from that, Paul, when he's writing to these different congregations, okay, he's addressing problems in that congregation. Okay, so he's not going to be addressing problems of the church in Galatia to the Corinthians, because why would he do that? Okay, so when you're talking about eisegesis, especially when you're talking about Old Testament to New Testament, or Tanakh to New Testament, I'm sorry, Jews, please forgive me my faux pas. When you are talking about eisegesis, whether it's from the New Testament to the New Testament or from Tanakh to the New Testament, you're talking about apples and oranges, okay? So you're talking about, let me give you a modern example, okay? So let's say your eisegesis from Tanakh, and then you go and put it together with a New Testament verse. Okay, so this would be like taking something from Gone with Wind and putting it together with something from Harry Potter. Okay? When you eisegete in the New Testament, what you're doing is And like I said, these are just examples. They might not be perfect examples, but these are just examples. But when you exegete New Testament to New Testament, what you're doing is you are taking something from Lord of the Rings and comparing it to Harry Potter. So when you exegete from Tanakh to New Testament, you're basically not even talking about the same genre. Okay. But in the New Testament to New Testament exegete, you're at least talking about the same genre, but it's untenable. It's untenable. Okay. So moving on.
Christians go up. So I don't know if you knew this, but I'll just give a brief review. A lot of you would know this. When the tribulation occurs, whether it be 7, 10, 3.5, 40, I've heard different numbers, all right? Yeah, I know. But anyways, however long the timeline of the tribulation is, the point is this. The point is the judgment seat of Christ, God has to go through everybody's life. Now, how long will that take? While we're being judged at the judgment seat of Christ, the tribulation is a shorter time frame. So how are we going to go through that judgment seat of Christ real fast? Unless God's plane of time is different from man's plane of time during the tribulation.
This is a common apologist trope. Oh, God's time is different from man's time. You hear it all the fucking time. And I'm fucking tired of it because all it says is, okay, maybe we were wrong, but that doesn't mean we were wrong. It just means that God's timing isn't our timing. It's so fucking obvious what they're doing. All right, moving on.
But let me give something that's really scientific. It's called time perception. Time perception. This is very interesting. The mind, a lot of people would talk about, it comes from the soul. Now, when you go up at the judgment seat of Christ, you're at your soul function then.
Okay, I have no idea what he's talking about with soul function and all this shit. He was going to get into time perception, which actually perked up my ears, but I don't think he's going to say anything revolutionary. Yeah, Selena. I mean, if he's almighty and all that, he could just judge everyone simultaneously. Like, what's the big deal? I mean, come on. Sheesh. All right, moving on.
So then the mind starts functioning. The soul starts to operate in its full capacity. Believe it or not, the mind can go slow or fast depending on the amount of memorable experiences. So, for example, there are people who talk about if they were to look at a clock passing by, then it goes really slow for you. Why? Because you're focusing so much on that mental image. But then when people age older, time goes by very fast. Why is that compared to kids? Because kids, they think one at a time, and then their mental concentration.
Okay, I have not studied this, but I call bullshit on that. Because I don't think that's how time perception works. All right, moving on.
Is that one thing, so it goes very slowly. Whereas for grown adults, especially city people, hustle and bustle, it just goes by pretty fast. Why? It's not as memorable, or the experience is not that strong where all your mental state is focusing. The point is your brain power, see? The mind power. When it's focused so much on that one image, it slows down. Time slows down a lot. Now, this is why it's incredibly eye-opening. If you look at Romans 2 and 2 Corinthians 5, what kind of mind do we have? Remember, when we die and go to heaven, we have the mind of what? Okay, if the church is going to have the mind of Christ, then think about this. Our mind will be stronger than Google.
Wow, way to date yourself. Okay, well, gotta say, Google's still around. So, you know, but in 100 years, it probably won't be around. And this will still be up and you will look like a fool. Like, most people already know you're a fool, but, you know, anyway. Yes, Selena, I know. I'm just saying I don't know a whole lot about time perception. It's not my area of expertise. So, you know, and it certainly isn't his area of expertise. So he shouldn't be talking about it. All right, moving on.
Now, if you type down, it's amazing. You can search up a person's life or record, all their information by just one click in 0.5 seconds from Google. But your mind is more powerful than that one. And when God shows your whole life, he can just do it just like that. And he can do probably
Gene, buddy, I don't know whether you know this or not, but our minds are already more powerful than Google. I mean, think about it. Somebody had to program Google. That's a pretty smart brain there. Not saying that that mind has all the facts and whatnot, because, I mean, there are too many facts for any one person to know. But, hey, Zebra. But, yeah, our minds are already bigger than Google. So, you know, I don't know what kind of bullshit you're trying to spill here, but it's bullshit.
hundred people at the same time like that. But then to us, it can be a lifetime. Why? Because our mind is stronger. So because our mind power is stronger, every detail that God has to judge you for, that mental picture will be completely focused on that, and God judges it. That's why you can go through a whole lifetime just like that. I mean, think about the limited capabilities of our body, where people talk about life review from near-death experiences. Your whole life just goes like that.
Okay, what the goddamn fuck was that about? And near-death experiences? I've got, I think, 2 videos on my channel about NDEs. If you would like to see them, type in NDE or near-death experience into the search bar and it'll take you there. It's 1 or 2, I can't remember. Oh my God. No, you did not die when you experienced an NDE. Okay? Jesus fucking Christ, people. Get educated. Hey, scapegoat. Get educated. NDEs are caused by lower oxygen to the brain. You can't come back from death, period. Not even your fucking Jesus. So stop it with the NDEs. All right, moving on.
If our flesh can do that in limited capabilities, imagine the soul with its full-blown functions of the mind with the mind of Jesus Christ. That makes sense. Look at 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 10. The emotion that really stirs up the slowness of time, especially in near-death experiences, is fear. So look at this, 2 Corinthians 5:10. For we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ, that everyone may receive the things done in his body, according to that he hath done, whether it be good or bad, knowing, see, there's your mind at work, therefore the what? Terror of the Lord. So then with that terror, God says,
and there it is, folks. There it is. There's the huge tactic they all use to keep you in line. Fear. You know, Gene, I didn't expect you to put it out there like that, but you did. That's how these idiots keep you in line. That's how these fucking idiots keep you in line. Fear. It's pathetic. If they had any truth, they wouldn't have to use fear now, would they? All right, moving on.
What did you do for me? And boom. Now look at Romans 2. Romans 2. Isn't this interesting? Verse 15, which show the work of the law written in their hearts, their conscience also bearing witness, and their thoughts. See that? Their mind is at work here. The meanwhile accusing or else excusing one another. You give an account in your mind on every detail that you did for the Lord at the judgment. Verse 16, in the day when God shall judge the secrets of men by Jesus Christ according to my gospel. See, your thoughts will be at play at the judgment. That's why it can make a lot of sense. So as much as I love the idea about the judgment seat of Christ going like this, it may not be that.
Thank you, Gene, for just throwing it out there that your church is a cult. That's called thought crime, people. It doesn't exist. It's never existed. And that's part of the BITE model. It's called thought control. BITE stands for behavior control, information control, thought control, and emotion control. So there it is, folks. He just told us his church is a cult, like we really needed him to tell us. All right, moving on.
That way when you experience it. It could be a whole lifetime. It can go very slow. That's something to think about. All right. So for time traveling teaching, you got some kind of conviction. You got a little preaching maybe. This is even given in articles from the University of Southern Maine. The title of their article is How Does Time Stop? And if you look at that article, actually, it's not that article, sorry, it's a different article. It's from Live Science. The title of the article is Why Time Seems to Slow Down in Emergencies. And it supports that. All the things that I given to you, the scientific details, how the mind functions, where time slows down, it's all documented in that article. Okay, now, if you think that was fun, here we go. Here's a deeper one. Time dilation, all right, time dilation. Look at Genesis chapter 1. This is fun. Look at Genesis 1. Genesis chapter 1.
Oh my fucking God. Oh my fucking God. Really? Time dilation? Isn't that like pseudoscience? Let me look it up right quick. Okay, it's just the idea that time is measured differently for moving objects than for stationary objects. Proper time is the time measured by an observer at rest. Okay, so it's not pseudoscience, but show of hands as to how this guy's going to make it sound like pseudoscience. Yeah, thank you, Big Zebra. Relativity? Okay, I understand relativity. I understand relativity. So time dilation's basically relativity. Thank you for, why didn't you just say that? I mean, why come up with this? I mean, you can Google it and you find out what it is in Google, but why didn't he just say relativity? That is so much simpler. And people know what you're talking about. At least educated people know what you're talking about when you're talking about relativity. I mean, what? Is your audience so stupid they don't know what relativity is? All right. Moving on. And we're going to stop in about, well, actually, let me stop right here. Because I have a delivery coming, and it'll be around 3 o'clock. Usually they come before 3 my time, and that's like 35 minutes away. So let me use this 4 minutes left that I have to go ahead and wrap up. Thank you for coming. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. It helps me. Also, leave a thumbs up. It helps the algorithm. And thank you to my new subscribers. And yes, Lisa, I know. And anyway, but yeah, I plan on doing more of this idiot just because he gets me views. But hey, you know, you got to play the YouTube game. Any creator knows that, right? But anyway, he is stupid. He is stupid. I don't care if he's got a legitimate PhD. He's stupid. Okay. So anyway, thanks to my new subscribers. Leave a thumbs up or down. It doesn't really matter. And leave a comment down below. It helps the algorithm. Also, if you are financially able, please become a member of this channel. You can become a member for as low as 99 cents a month. You can also donate via PayPal if you don't have the means for a monthly membership. So I will talk to you later. Bye, everyone.